Hello, my name is Imogen Caterer. I'm the admin of the P1 group on Facebook. It's a delight to have you as a member, by the way. P1 has a reputation for being a really tough exam. Everyone's personal perception of the exam is actually slightly different, of course. Mine is that it isn't, that it's a great puzzle piece and very enjoyable to study, in fact. And sometimes thinking, oh, it's a tough exam, can sometimes leave you going, oh, I can't do this too easily. There are quite a few people, yes, who failed first time. There are quite a few people who passed, though, almost as many pass first time. So perhaps it isn't as hard, perhaps it's more to do with whether you're prepared to puzzle things out, whether you're prepared to experiment. I wrote an article called How I Passed P1 or something. I think it's how I passed CIMA's toughest exam or something. I was hyping it at the time, which you'll find in here. I've put it in one of the sites. It's a text, so it'll be a PDF somewhere. A lot of what I did was kind of invent ways, creative ways to learn stuff. I did variances as a table. I had a look at the throughput equation, poked around at it till it made sense. A lot of what I do in my personal revision is I kind of have a sort of aha moment. I go, oh, this isn't working, and I'll have an aha moment and invent some new way of learning stuff. So, for instance, I had a new job and I didn't really like going through my revision cards in front of people at lunchtime. I wanted to talk to them. So I thought, well, I've got to get some extra time from somewhere. Where can I get it? And in this case, I had an instant aha moment, which went, oh, do some audio recording. So suddenly I had all my drive time to and from work learning F1, P1 and later E1. That really worked for me. And we all have this ability to invent things. It's just sometimes we get stuck in the headlights and go, panic, I can't do this. This exam, this P1 exam is way too hard for me. Another challenge, or another approach that I find has limited benefit, is you occasionally get it, and often it's people who've only just slightly failed F1, and they'll go, well, give me some tips. Now, we all know probability theory a little bit. If you've scored 99, there's a fair chance you'll pass the next time just on the probabilities. But you often get a result saying, well, go faster. Well, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, except you've got to pass the operational case study later on. And if you're not that strong in P1, you'll find that harder. I find those tips often quite shallow, because often you'll find that people who understand P1 really well don't have time pressures in that exam. I didn't have time pressure in my exam because I was very good at facing what was not working for me. Oh, I don't get that. I don't understand that. How can I dig in so I get it? I wasn't afraid to go back to the textbooks several times if necessary to get something round the right way. It's that exploring and digging attitude that I suspect is the one that will help you pass P1. There's obviously a lot of fear goes round, and I deal with this over in the operational case study exam as well. The fear of failure, the fear of not passing, basically. I think the key thing of that is not taking it personally. I haven't failed one yet, but I'm actually quite interested to see what happens when I fail one of these exams, which I may do on the way to completing CIMA. Because it's an interesting thing about whether I'll take it personally or whether I'll pick myself up again. And I encourage you, don't take it personally. I can see when you've studied for hours, you can take it personally. But when you realise that sometimes these things happen, and sometimes they happen on a way to you learning and understanding this a lot better, then possibly you can set it aside and not take it so personally. There's nothing wrong with failing P1. In fact, there's nothing wrong with failing it multiple times and dropping out of CIMA, because it just means it wasn't the right path for you, that's all. And that's fine. Okay? I've made wrong paths in my life, and you can correct them as soon as possible. If you're in this strange hinterland where you're going, I've failed P1 several times and I don't know whether to continue or not. It's actually very hard to stop doing CIMA for the wrong reasons, because eventually you'll settle down and calm down, and suppose you decide to quit and you quit because you're annoyed by an exam result. Eventually you'll settle down and come round and go either back to CIMA or say, no, actually that was the right decision. And you settle down, you're obviously calmed down and what have you, you're obviously in a better place of mind to make decisions. Some people just need a break. And that may be as little as a walk or a cinema trip or something else if their motivation has collapsed. And a lot of it is looking out and going, okay, so I've failed P1, but I can see the world has not stopped. I can see that I'm still a person of value. I can see that maybe I need time hugging my family and friends. And when it's natural, I will return. And sometimes maybe it's right to force yourself to return. But generally, I don't think so. It depends what you mean by force. So those are my reflections on P1. Can't actually remember the first one now, but dig in and find and explore this stuff. Oh, the first one is, of course, don't assume it's tough. But dig in and be prepared to explore and enjoy this stuff. And don't get put off if it's a fail. And don't get put off if the end decision is, actually maybe CIMA isn't right for me. It's better finding that at P1 than finding that at P2. So I'm very neutral because I think in the end you'll make the correct decision. And in fact, I'm sure you will. And in the meantime, good luck with it.